Greetings, African people. Here's why we are weak. Here is why nobody pays any attention to Black people. Because what we do, we elect a few representatives within our community to stand up and speak for us. And I think that is the worst way to form leaders. It's the worst thing to do for a people. In our community, what we ought to be doing is building nation together. We don't put a few persons out there to speak for us because a few persons cannot be the voice of the people. What we need is to, in our household, raise leaders, male and female, because what we've seen over the years, in all the times that Black people have been fighting for equality and for change, is that we select a few individuals, and when we put them out there, when they are approached and seduced and given monetary compensation for dropping the cause, it takes nothing for them to go astray. What we need to do is, when we have people who actually mean us well, individuals within our community that we see have certain character or characteristics, that we say, okay, this is good leadership quality. We invest in those individuals, and it begins as children. In our Black community, when we see a kid that is headstrong, the first thing we try to do is beat it out of that child. So many times you see kids, showing their own way of thinking, showing that they are not followers, they're leaders. And oftentimes you would hear people in the Black community say, beat him. If that was my kid, I beat him. If that was my child, I'll do this or that. And we fail to realize it's those strong-willed kids that are the ones who come out here and fight for us and stand up for us and defend us. But another thing that I notice, and I look back at clips from Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, all these freedom fighters that we claim to honor these days. And when we look in the audience, we hear all the Black people that are listening to the ceremonies or messages are clapping and shouting. And when those individuals are killed, all of a sudden, that momentum dies. Because why? Because we put few persons out there to stand up and defend us. And when that person is taken down, we run away like chickens, like with our heads between our crotch, we go away. Because what we don't do is prepare everybody in that community to be a leader. So if you kill one of our leader, the other one comes up and stand in the place. And if you kill one more leader, every person has to be a leader. Otherwise, we stay in the same place where we're crying about the same thing. And quite frankly, I find it very pathetic. Now I look at some things in my country, my beautiful country of Jamaica, and I don't know if I should be sad or if I should be angry, because there comes a time when you have to know which energy to put out there. But what I want to say to the people, you need to develop these leadership skills and stand up in your own country and demand the change that you need. You become the change that you want. So if you want to see a clean environment and you're concerned about, the environment, then you keep your place around you clean. If you want to see less crime, then you have to send a message to criminals that you are not going to, intimidate us. You are not going to continue to abuse us or to hold us hostage in our own country. Now, when you see those who are in the position of power to change things and you're not able to change things, then that means that you have selected the wrong group of people. Just yesterday, I was on some political figures Facebook page, and I was asking some questions. I think you should question your politicians. And some of the persons there, a few, kind of came for me and said I was jealous. I'm jealous of this woman. I'm thinking, wow, here lies the problem. These individuals don't want change. They just want a few persons to put up on some kind of mountain to worship. They don't want to be strong people. They don't want, to create a Jamaica for their children and their children. They have no problem keeping the few weak persons who are in position of power in that place to control and dominate them. There are Chinese people in Jamaica selling people dog and donkey for food. They have fake cabbage and fake rice and other kinds of foods that are deadly. Some of the nations in Europe and around the world have ensured that their citizens are protected from these things. But for some reason, our governments are so short sighted that they're allowing these individuals to come into the country and poison people. Now we see our young people, our athletes dropping down and dying from heart attack. Young people don't usually die from heart attack unless it's something that they were born, some genetic kind of problem. We see our athletes. Are you sitting there and just saying that is a coincidence? That's random? Who is taking a close look at these supplements that these kids are taking? Who is taking a clear and a close look at who's being exposed to these young people? Because there's something going on with that. The young kids don't just drop dead from heart attack unless somebody is deliberately trying to sabotage the athletic program, or unless somebody is trying to sell something. So there are individuals who probably want to implement some program, and in order for them to do this, there has to be some collateral damage. Or young people that are dying in sports, it's not an accident. Or citizens are held hostage by criminals, and the people who are supposed to be task force, individuals who are supposed to be solving crime, are throwing their hands up in the air and behaving as if they are afraid of criminals. Real policemen go out there with no fear for their life. That's what you signed up for. And when you send a message to criminals that you are afraid of them, that they are, in need of some type of protection, because when you're not solving crime, you seem to be protecting criminals. You're not sending that strong message to people that, we don't want this around here. So that leads me to think that the crime and violence in Jamaica is orchestrated, and there are individuals who are benefiting from it. You keep electing governments that send a very clear message to you that you don't matter. So when we as a Black person say, we look at the states and we talk about racism, racism is not just about, another group of people coming and telling you have no worth. Racism is within your own country, where you elect some people based on their, socioeconomic condition, and you allow them to rule over you with tyranny. Tyranny mean that their children can have good education, a good place to live, good roads to drive on, good transportation, and so on and so forth. And your children have to continue to go hungry and, without education, without future, opportunities. This person on this government website could not understand why I was asking these questions, because the lady is a beauty queen. Now I don't quite understand why that woman is not offended. She used to be a beauty queen. Now she's a politician with dreams of becoming a prime minister. And somehow she encourages that kind of disrespect towards her when she has individuals telling her how sexy she is and now she should go back to being Miss Universe. Lady, if you are to be considered or to be taken seriously, you can't encourage individuals to see how you look. You have to correct them to say, I am more interested in being a good leader. I'm more interested in changing, to being an agent of change. Jamaican people are suffering and dying. You've got to do something about it. But more than anything else, stop relying on politicians to care. If you don't care about yourself, politicians cannot care about you. You have to come together as a collective. You have to come together as a people and let them work for you. You put them there, put them in a position to work. Challenge them, put them to task. No more sitting around in these places and eating and drinking and getting fat, even as the people around them suffer and die. Black people around the world, you need leaders who are going to serve the function of making you become better, greater people. You need leaders who have foresight, who have the ability to see things even before it happens. Those are leaders. You need not just education to inform and to guide and to lead your people, but you need spiritual awakening. That's the only time you'll be able to see change in your country and change in the world. Don't rely so much on the physical person's ability. Tap into spirituality as well in getting the work done. Our country has a dark cloud over it. And the people, if they don't stand up and demand change, will become collateral damage. They bless African people. Think on these things.